Good morning, friends. This is Yugal Parashar for the Indian News. Friends, I have with me today a person who could be the next Prime Minister of New Zealand when the results are out on 14th of October. Mr. Christopher Luxon, National Party leader. Good morning, Mr. Luxon.
Good
Welcome to the
morning.
Indian News.
Good morning. Great to be with you. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Sure. Now, you must be a happy man, Mr. Luxon. If you look at the recent poll surveys, gives an edge on the other parties, or I would say your main competition, Labour Party. What do you want to say about it?
Oh, look, I mean, the only poll that now matters is October the 14th. And, it's very clear the country is heading in the wrong direction. And if people want to guarantee a change for a gut change of government, there's only one thing to do, and it's to party vote national. Our focus is to make sure that people understand we want to get the country back on track. And we're going to do that by fixing and rebuilding the economy, restoring law and order, and delivering better education and healthcare. And I think if we can do those things, they're important.
Sure. Uh, if you talk about the current government, Labour government has been involved in one scandal or after other, all the ministerial scandals. What's your take about those scandals?
Well, look, it's a Labor government that's falling apart, and it's out of touch, it's out of ideas, and frankly, it's out of time. And New Zealanders want change. They need serious people to actually deal with the serious problems and challenges that we have. I've just come from the Avondale markets this morning, and it's just talking to people. The cost of living is just killing people. It is incredibly tough. Food prices are up, rents are up, mortgage payments are up, and just people are feeling, huge economic pressure. 1 in 2 New Zealanders now deeply worried about money on a daily basis. Many Kiwis behind on their debt payments. Parents skipping meals because they can't afford food at supermarkets. Families down at food banks. So that is our number one job, is to actually fix and rebuild the economy so we can reduce the cost of living, get interest rates down, get inflation down, and get the economy growing again.
Your prospective coalition partner, who have been your coalition partner in the past as well, ACT Party, they have to say they are your conscience keeper. What's your take on their jibe?
Well, look, ultimately, that's for them to work out. They're an independent party from the National Party. I'm focused on maximising the National Party vote. The only way you guarantee a change of government is to party vote national. It's the only way to do it. And so, I appreciate we've worked constructively with ACT in the past. David Seymour, someone that I know well from my past life and I have a good, positive, constructive relationship with. But ultimately, the only way you get to change a government is to vote national, and that's what people have got to understand.
David Seymour has very strongly opposed your idea of inviting Chinese investment for your road project in New Zealand. And he says if they are part of the government, they will ensure that they do not have the Chinese investment for that project.
Yeah, all respect to David, but he's got the wrong end of the stick there, and I never said that. What I said was we're going to open up private capital, as we see all around the world around infrastructure funding and financing, to own New Zealand Super Fund, the ACC Fund, whether it's pension plans from around the world that will actually help us deliver the infrastructure. We will, of course, always have our Overseas Investment Office tests in place about national security, sensitive lands, and all of those tests have to be met. So, David's just wrong. He's got the wrong end of the stick there.
So in absence of Chinese investment, where does the money come from? It's around 25 billion.
Yeah, the money comes from, as you read the policy, is that there's $11 trillion worth of sovereign wealth money around the world. There's $54 trillion worth of just pension fund money in the top 22 countries of the world. As we've seen in places like Montreal, the Canadian Pension Plan, which is the investment money for teachers and nurses, ends up investing in a rapid transit program in Montreal, gets it going from idea to completion within 5 years. It's exactly what most modern countries do around the world, and it's exactly what we need to do here in New Zealand. And the reason is that we can accelerate the development and delivery of infrastructure, and also not put that debt on New Zealand taxpayers, because we can actually have other people finance and fund it for us.
Okay, there's another point which David Seymour has very, very strongly opposed, and he said this could be even a deal breaker if National ever decides to join hands with Winston Peters. Your take?
Again, I'm not that interested in what David Seymour says about this stuff. We're clear about what we're doing in the National Party. And so, the National Party is a mainstream political party. We are here to get as many party votes as we possibly can as the way you guarantee the change of government. Winston Peters and New Zealand First isn't in Parliament today. I have seen nothing in any polling that suggests to me that they're even going to make it into Parliament. So it hasn't even considered, I haven't given it any consideration or thought.
So don't you think it should matter to you because national as of today can't have the government on its own? So as your prospective coalition partner has some views, very strong views, that should matter to you.
Yeah, well, I think you've seen him walk his comments back a little bit more recently, and the answer very clearly is that, as I said, New Zealand First isn't in Parliament today.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I've seen that says they're going to get into Parliament, so it's an academic point.
Now, coming back to the ongoing issue of the law and order situation in the country, which has been going for almost 3 years now, rampant crime. What is that something which you think if you make the government, form the government on 14th of October, what's one thing you will be doing which can put a brake on those crimes?
Well, there's several things we're going to do. One is we're going to have serious consequences for serious young offenders, and that means 15 to 17-year-olds going to our military academies where they'll spend a year working with our leaders and mentors in the military alongside community organisations, working with addiction and numeracy and literacy challenges, but we need to turn those young people's lives around. They need to understand there are consequences, they need to understand that there is discipline and there is need for rights and responsibilities. The second thing we'll do is we'll make sure that we limit the discounts that judges can give so we get stronger sentencing in place. You know, we've seen some cases of violent crime being committed where people should have had 3 years in jail and ended up with 5 months of home detention. And that's because judges have been discounting sentences way too much. And so we've got a cap and a limit on that. We won't have cultural reports, which actually diminishes sentencing time. We'll give that money back to victims. And we also will make sure that every prisoner actually can access rehabilitation services. So we're going to back the police. We will also tackle gangs, ban gang patches in public places, make sure we give police special powers to disperse and to break up planned criminal activity, ensure that they can go after warrantless search powers after the illegal guns that's causing so much violent crime, and also make being a gang member an aggravating factor in sentencing, so you get tougher sentences as well if you're a gang member. So, it's about backing police, tackling the gangs, serious consequences for serious young offenders, and importantly, stronger sentencing.
Would you bring the three-strike legislation back?
Absolutely, that's coming straight back. That's an important piece of legislation.
Yeah.
And the government, again, by getting rid of it, actually sends a message they're very soft on crime.
What's that one paradigm shift you would want to make once you are in a position to form the new government?
Well, we really need New Zealand to get some more ambition and aspiration to celebrate excellence and achievement and success. We need to get back some mojo and some positivity and some optimism. We need to get out in the world and start making things happen for ourselves. We have been way too negative, way too insular, way too isolated over the last 6 years. And this is a great country with a tremendous potential ahead of it. But we're not realising the potential, we're not solving the problems, and we're not maximising opportunities. And so, we have to get a whole mind shift change in place to get the country growing again.
Great. Now, do you support New Zealand government's bid to join NATO alliance?
Well, what we support is actually making sure we're part of relationships with other countries with similar values. And that's why I've been so strong on making sure that we actually support the Ukraine in this unjust war against Russia. And the reason's very simply, we stand up for certain values in New Zealand. We have an independent foreign policy, but we believe very strongly in the sovereignty of nation states. We certainly believe in the rule of law. We believe that where possible we should partner with other countries with similar values, and we should stand up for those values. And that's why I've been very supportive of making sure we do everything we can to support the Ukraine, because that's an important fight. If we can't lose, Ukraine cannot lose. It's important that they don't lose.
Don't you think it's going to add fuel to the fire, which is already, on the verge of, getting into a World War III situation?
I disagree. We stand up for values, and values are important in the world today. And New Zealand is a small country that's a trading nation that has to have respect for sovereignty and the rule of law and international norms that we've built up over a period of time. They have served New Zealand very well and our own protection well. And so we stand up when we see those being contravened, and we stand up with other partners that can do that as well.
Wonderful. Now, what message would you want to give to all the people for the election on 14th of October, and especially the Indian community in particular?
Well, the Indian community is so important and they could make the difference in this election, to be honest. And the question is, you can get angry, you can get grumpy, you can have conversations on couches in your living rooms, or you can get out and vote. And actually what you've got to do on October the 14th is vote, and you'll get the country that we all deserve. I think this election is an important one. It's a defining election for New Zealand. It will set the course for New Zealand for generations to come. And what we need to do now is get the country back on track. And that means fixing and rebuilding the economy. It means restoring law and order and personal responsibility. And it means, importantly, delivering better health and education. And I think there's only one government that can do that. It's a national government that will be strong and stable and will be able to fix this economy versus a choice that is a coalition of chaos. It's more Labour, Te Pāti Māori, the Greens, and also the gangs now are part of that coalition as well.
Unfortunately,
so I think the
yes.
choice is very simple for people. It's a very stark choice. And I just encourage all of the Indian community to get out and vote, because the Indian community is a pretty special community to New Zealand. I mean, we've observed how that you've left your country behind, you come to New Zealand, take 2 or 3 jobs, work incredibly hard, pay your taxes, never go on welfare, get the kids educated. You are model and great role model citizens, but you have been hurt terribly by this government in terms of poor and abysmal economic mismanagement. And the second thing is by letting crime get out of control where people do not feel safe in their homes, their businesses, their communities. A national government will fix that.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr.
Appreciate it. Good
Luxon,
to
on
be
this
with you.
note, and wish you very best for the coming election, and hope to see you soon when you become the new Prime Minister of the New Zealand.
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.